Oh god, I can't have anything nice. Can't have anything nice. Phillies lose a series against the Baltimore Orioles. What was slated to be a marquee pitching matchup today with Zack Wheeler and Corbin Burns turned into an absolute shit show. My goodness. And it started with the very first batter of the game against Zack Wheeler. And one, the fucking umpire tonight. What was his fucking name? Westberg, whatever the fuck his name is. I don't even deserve to get his name right. Or he doesn't even deserve to have his name spoken properly because that's how egregious he is as an umpire. That's how terrible he is as an umpire. Gunnar Henderson should have been struck out. He should have been out. That home run should never have happened. But then Zack Wheeler, after that home run, just wasn't the same. He didn't have his stuff. He was also fighting a terrible umpire at the same time. Zack Wheeler didn't have it tonight. That is the bottom line. Zack Wheeler didn't have it. That is fact. That is fact. Yesterday, if you go to Taijuan Walker on the mound, I don't think he was that egregious. I thought he was fine. He was 1 out away from a quality start, and then Ruiz came in. All those things happened. The offense also didn't hit it yesterday. The offense didn't hit today. That is a repeating theme here. But I'm prepared for you guys. I'm prepared for some of you guys that are going to be in this live chat because I feel like some of you guys are going to go down the deep end and go to such drastic extremes that are just absurdly stupid. Because we talked about this many times when the team was winning all these games, when they were going on this insane streak, when they were having they still are one of the top teams in baseball, and it seems some of you guys are forgetting about that, to where we talked about ebbs and flows of a 162 game season. The Phillies are hitting that ebb and flow where they're struggling. Yes, I get the offense has been struggling since the West Coast road trip that started in Colorado. I fucking understand that. But then when you come back from London, okay, you lose a series to the Boston Red Sox, it happens. But then you lose a series to a good team. Okay. I understand. The pitching lately, yes, has not been good. The pitching has been struggling. The starting pitching has been struggling. The offense, yes, I understand, has been, an eyesore for a couple of weeks now. You're missing 3 guys in your lineup. You were doing fantastic without Trey Turner because one Edmundo Sosa helped you a lot. Then you lost Brandon Marsh, and then you lost JT Realmuto. And I think that spiral effect just went into the lineup, and it just, because you had so many guys struggling at once. Then Kyle Schwarber, he's starting to heat up a little bit when it started with the Boston series. Alec Bohm was struggling for a while. Bryson Stott has not been basically, since that 2.5 week span in the beginning of May, really has not been his best version of himself at the plate. Nick Castellanos, he has 1 good series, then he follows that up with 2 bad series in a row, 3 bad series in a row. That's been Nick Castellanos his entire career in Philadelphia. You lose JT, you don't have Trey Turner, Edmundo Sosa's magic looks like it's dwindling off a little bit, and you're being forced to start David Dahl, who wasn't going to replicate what he did in the first few games that he got called up. That's just obvious, people. Christian Pache is not going to provide you much, and Johan Rojas is not going to provide you much offensively. Come on, people. Be smart. Don't be stupid. Come on. Don't be dumb. I understand the outfield production has not been good all year. Dave Dombrowski is going to address that. You're acting like it's not going to happen, man. It's acting like it's not going to happen. I don't care that we were only winning we weren't only winning low-score games. That only happened recently. When the team was going on a bunch of stretch of winning, they were scoring runs, their pitching was dominating, and their bullpen was dominating. Yes, recently their offense has been slumping, and I'm putting to the fact that they're missing guys in their lineup. I'm trying to push that to you. Guys, I understand you're trying to express your opinion. I'm trying to, your guys are going off the deep end. I have a call here from Sean saying this team isn't going to win the World Series. Sean, I love you, but this team is, you can't go on the deep end that far. We're panicking. You guys are panicking here, and it's June 16th. This team is how many games above 500? They're 23 games above 500. Yes, the Braves fans, the Braves, they won a couple of games when we lost. We still have an 8-game lead on them. They lost today to the Tampa Bay Rays. Before that, the Braves were struggling mightily. But right now, I don't care about the Braves, but some people want to bring that up. The offense is struggling because they're missing so many bodies in their lineup. That's the issue with the offense. They're missing so many bodies. When it's on top of the fact that some of their guys are struggling in the batter's box. And yes, Bryce Harper has been good this year. We haven't seen nuclear Bryce Harper yet, and I guarantee you we're going to get nuclear Bryce Harper. Kyle Schwarber looks like he's going to be fine. Kyle Schwarber is heating up right now. He looks way better at the plate. He's getting more hits. It looks like he's hitting for more power, and he looks like he's seeing the pitches better. If you have a good... And Alec Bohm. Alec Bohm was fantastic this series. Alec Bohm got so many hits, it looked like he had more confidence in his swing. He was driving the ball, and that's basically what it is. Alec Bohm, if he gets hot again, that's more benefit to your lineup. And you're getting Trey Turner back tomorrow. That's also a benefit to your lineup. That's also a benefit to your lineup of getting Trey Turner back. Now, granted, Trey Turner is probably not going to be the instant 350 hitter that he was going into the injured list. So we got to give him a little bit of time. And yes, this Phillies team has been on the road for a very long time. They went to London. That was a very, long, harsh back and forth instantly right there. Then you go right to Boston. Then you go to Baltimore. It's obviously right here. They're going through a major ebb and flow. They're going to be fine. I just want to stress that to you guys, that they're going to be fine. I understand you want to stress your concerns, and that is perfectly fine. I just don't want you guys going off the deep end. I don't want you guys going off the deep end, and I think that's what some of you guys are doing. I think you're going off the deep end. I'm putting the context together. There's so many things that are just parallel right here to where it looks like the team is just getting affected by all things at once. Yes, it does look like, even though some people are not going to admit it, I'm not going to use it as an excuse, but it looks like it could be a factor that maybe the trip to London affected our starting pitching a little bit. It just got them off their clock a little bit. That is basically it. The pitching will be fine. The starting pitching will be fine. Aaron Nola will be fine. Zack will be fine. Ranger Suarez, who looked fine, he'll be fine. Christopher Sanchez will be fine. Taijuan Walker is Taijuan Walker. That's basically it. Even though I thought he was okay yesterday, he wasn't the major issue why they lost. The bullpen will be fine. Matt Strahm will be fine. Seranthony Dominguez looks amazing right now. Alvarado will be good. Hoffman will be good. This team will be fine. This team will be fine. That's what I'm trying to stress right here. And I think right now you're seeing a gigantic butterfly effect because lately, yes, when the offense wasn't winning, the offense was low scoring, but the pitching was keeping them involved and the pitching was shutting other teams down. Now that the pitching has struggled a little bit, it's putting more pressure on the offense to do a little too much. And that's basically what's happening right now. The offense not scoring enough, putting a lot of pressure on the starting pitching, and now the starting pitching fell off a little bit in these past two series. And now that the starting pitching fell off a little bit, it put more pressure on the offense to try to do a little too many things at once. And I think that's what we saw in these two series against Boston and Baltimore. And I think that's what we saw. They'll be fine. Come home for a little bit, get in your own houses, get in your own beds, and that's basically it. I understand people are so PTSD because of the offense and how they collapsed last year. I think this team has learned from that experience, and I don't think they're going to let it happen again. Right now, they're going through because I think they're just missing too many bodies. That's basically what it is. They're missing too many bodies. That's basically it. I think they're missing too many bodies, and once they get that health back, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Bryce Harper is eventually going to give his 2-3 week stretch of going nuclear. Kyle Schwarber looks better at the plate. This series, Alec Bohm looked like he got a bunch of confidence left. But yes, there's still, Bryson Stott. He doesn't look the same at the plate right now. He looks lost. Nick Castellanos is who he is. Nick Castellanos is who he is. And yes, Dave Dombrowski will address the production from the outfield. That is going to be his number one priority. It's already been stated many times. It's just a matter of when he's going to do it. And I'm not sure he's in a rush to do it right now. because I don't think you should be in a rush to do it right now. You're 23 games above 500. If this was a different story and it was one of those same situations where you were fighting to get back to 500, you were fighting with the Braves for the division lead, right now you're not in that position. Right now you're in a little bit of a more comfortable position to work yourself out of this. And I think that's what Dave Dombrowski is doing. Now, if this stretch goes on for a little bit longer, then he'll probably address the situation. That's it. That's it. Right now, it's a whole butterfly effect of what everything is happening right now. The offense, yes, since that Colorado West Coast trip to San Francisco and Colorado, yes, the offense has not been good. And then you eventually started losing more bodies. And I think that's what spiraled it out of control. After that Colorado-San Francisco series, you bounced back, you won a series against St. Louis, and you swept the Milwaukee. Granted, yes, the offense wasn't the best in those two series, but you still won because your pitching dominated. Then you went to London, you won the first game, your offense showed up in that, and your pitching showed up in that. And then the second game, your offense really didn't show up as much, and your bullpen was the reason why you blew it. And then you come to Boston. Zack Wheeler was great in the first game. You didn't need to score that much because that's how great Zack Wheeler was. Christopher Sanchez wasn't good in Game 2, and Aaron Nola wasn't good in Game 3. This series, Ranger Suarez was really good. Your bullpen was really good in Game 1, and your offense did just enough. Yesterday, Taijuan Walker was okay. Bullpen guys that came out weren't as good, and your offense didn't hit. Today, Zack Wheeler wasn't good. Yes, your offense had chances, but Zack Wheeler just did not have it today. Zack Wheeler just did not have it today. He was fighting himself, and he was fighting the umpire, and you clearly saw how frustrated Rob Thomson was, because that dude got ejected, and that is the most pissed I've ever seen Rob Thomson in my entire life. Holy shit, he was angry. And frickin' umpire tossing Rob Thomson, and then getting back in his face after he ejects him. Dude, who the fuck do you think you are? Who the fuck do you think you are? What, did Rob Thomson hurt your fucking pride because he talked about your strike zone and how terrible it was? And how terrible it was? Look at both pitching sides for Baltimore and the Phillies, and look which strike zones got more leeway, huh? Look which more strike zones got more leeway. Because Zack Wheeler was fighting the umpire. Yes, Zack Wheeler was not good, but he was fighting the umpire. And Corbin Burnes was getting everything possible on the outside part of the plate while Zack Wheeler got nothing. A pitch that was inside top corner of the strike zone to Gunnar Henderson. Obvious strike, doesn't call it. Come on. Come on. You eject Rob Thomson and get right back in his face. Fucking pride do you have, man? Fucking embarrassing. That's what it is. MLB umpires are a fucking joke. They're the saddest human beings on earth. That's what they are. Like, that pissed me off, man. Like, that pissed me off. Just did. Holy hell. Like, that was sad. Watching that experience from an umpire. My God. Umpiring these past two series have... Umpiring not why we lost. I'm not saying it's why we lost. Umpiring these past two series have been so fucking brutal. It really is. Jesus Christ, it's so bad. It is so bad. My God. If you want to look at how things transpired today, Zack Wheeler allowed 4 home runs. That's something that he never does. Something that he never does. Henderson, home run, even though he should have struck out. 1-0 Orioles in the first. Cowser, then he hits a 2-run shot. Rutschman, then hit a solo shot. And then the Phillies, they eventually cut the lead in half. Castellanos got an RBI ground out. Bohm singled, which scored a run. Made it 4-2. And then Westberg hit a 2-run shot. No, actually hit a 3-run shot. Actually made it 8-2 because Santander got an RBI hit. And then the rest of the game was the rest of the game. Alec Bohm had another RBI hit. So, yeah, Alec Bohm's been really good. Alec Bohm, 3 for 4, 2 RBI. If that's one of the lone positives you want to take from the offense, Alec Bohm heating back up. He got his average above 300 again, which is really good for this offense. Kyle Schwarber got another hit. Bryce Harper, 2 for 4. And then basically that was it. Sosa had the other hit for the Phillies. Dahl had a hit. Stubbs had a hit. Pache had a hit. That's really it. Yeah, Stott. Stott definitely right now in the lineup is an issue. Batting .234, 333 on base, 362 slugging. He's not getting extra base hits. He's just not hitting the ball. He doesn't look right at the plate right now. He might need a day off. He might need a reset right now. Do you put him lower in the lineup? I don't know. Because when Trey Turner comes back, Trey Turner's going right in the 2-hole. And that drops Nick Castellanos in the lineup. I'm not sure where you're going to put him. You'll probably put him behind Alec Boehm, or unless you put Brandon Marsh behind Alec Boehm. And then you put, unless you put Marsh behind Boehm, then Castellanos behind Marsh, then maybe Stott behind Castellanos. And then you do whatever you do with the catching situation, whether it's Marchand or whether it's Stubbs. That's definitely a question mark right there. Yeah, guys are frustrated. I understand. Now, who goes tomorrow when Trey Turner comes back? That's definitely a big question mark. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm not sure what's going to happen. What else? In my opinion, it's either, honestly, with the way that David Dahl has been hitting lately, I could see him go, even if David Dahl doesn't have options left, so I don't think they can send him down without him being claimed. I don't know what they do. I don't know what they do. Honestly, I just don't. I just don't. My gut feeling is that I think it's Dahl. I think it's Dahl. That's just gut feeling. I just don't see them sending Rojas down. I just don't see it. My personal opinion, I just don't see it. I don't know why. There's like no correlation to anything. I just don't see them sending down Rojas. I don't know. Don't know. It could be Rojas. You never, because Rojas is the guy that has the options. I just, for some reason, my gut feeling says they're not sending down Rojas. They're either waiving Pache or Dahl. I think that's one of the two options. Rojas probably is the smarter choice to send down because he does have the options. And then you keep the lefty on your bench and Dahl. You still have Pache for defensive replacements. And then whenever Cody Clemens comes back, he comes back. But then someone else would have to be sent down and Cody Clemens comes back. But then probably you would send down Cody Clemens because he has options. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I still think if you're trading for another outfielder, I think Rojas is a part of the trade. I think Rojas is one of the players plus the prospects that you're sending. I think Rojas is one of the guys that's getting traded, especially if you're trading a guy for like a Luis Robert. They're going to want a guy on their MLB roster in return. Send them Rojas. You send them Rojas. That's one of the things there. Yeah, maybe not Pache, maybe Rojas is the guy that gets sent down. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe he does get sent down. Maybe. Look, I'm frustrated just as you guys are. I'm just frustrated at all the hot takes. That's all. I'm frustrated at all hot takes. You guys can express your frustration. You can express concerns. That is perfectly fine. I just don't want you guys going off the deep end. I don't want you guys going off the deep end. That's all. And I'm frustrated that I'm frustrated that they're losing games. Yeah, I'm frustrated that the offense isn't whipping into shape like it was before, they went quiet. Because the offense was clicking on all cylinders for over a month, basically. After they lost those first two series of the year, the offense was fantastic. Going from that, early to mid-April through basically the entirety of May. This is like a 2.5, 3.5 week stretch of the offense being cold, and I do think that's a butterfly effect of just losing bodies. I think it is. Because Trey Turner goes down, then Alec Boehm started the struggle, Sosa came in, he did really well, but then you lost Marsh, that had, forced you to call up someone else, then David Dahl did some of the things there, but then, Schwarber was still struggling to start June, and then Stott, continued the struggle. Bryce, chipped in here and there. He's still been good, but like I said, you still haven't seen fully nuclear Bryce Harper yet. And then, once JT went down, then you forced Stubbs into the lineup and you forced Marchand into the lineup, and those guys have done their contribution, when they can. Like, you're not expecting those guys to be world beaters at the end of the day. It's just like I said, when those three guys go down, I just think it just, it started that butterfly effect with the offense to where they just finally started to feel the effects of it. And that's what happened. And now that they have Marsh back, which, yeah, Marsh hasn't looked obviously fully locked in these first two games since he's been back, that's going to be granted. And then Trey Turner's going to come back. We don't know how much it's going to take for him to get the rust off coming back from the injury. So that's going to take a little bit of time here, but maybe a little bit of rejuvenation for that lineup. Maybe that gives some guys some confidence. Maybe that, moving some guys down in the lineup makes it more beneficial for those guys to see better pitches. And then maybe their confidence bolsters back up. I'm just trying to think of correlations here that can happen. Also, you're coming back home. You get to sleep in your own beds. You get to sleep in your own houses. You get to, be with your family and all that stuff after being out on the road for so very long, because they were in London last weekend. They've been basically on the road for an entire week. So it was a very long run, especially being out of the country. So now they get to come home for a week and everything. Get to play in front of Citizens Bank Park, which, yes, you clearly are better playing at Citizens Bank Park. That is definitely a granted right there. Be in front of your home fans. Everything there. Play against some teams that are struggling as well, because the San Diego Padres, they were hot for a little bit, then they just got swept by the New York Mets. Then also the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are also a team below 500. And also, yeah, that's going to be a marquee series because, yes, NLCS rematch. Find a way to bounce back. And I'm confident in this team's ability to bounce back. They're in a little bit of a rut right now. I think they get out of it. I firmly believe I shouldn't even say I think. I guarantee they get out of it eventually. That's just the thing right there, man. It just is. Let's see. Don't think there's anything here. And now Mets fans are getting overly confident. They've been on a winning streak since the London series. They're 5-0. Or actually, they're on a 5-6 game winning streak, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. 5-6 game winning streak since then. And they're creeping back into a playoff spot because they're 4 games below 500 and the rest of the National League sucks. That's why they're even close to a playoff position. Yeah, that's basically it right there. Mets fans, the Mets team does not scare me. 100% does not. They're only near the playoff wildcard spots because the rest of the league sucks. Yeah, today sucked. And looking at the guys that came out of the bullpen today after Zack Wheeler, Spencer Turnbull was fine, and then Seranthony Dominguez struck out the side. So Seranthony continues to do his thing. Hopefully that gives Turnbull some confidence in the bullpen. It feels like when Turnbull's forced to be going into these long relief options instead of just coming at, I don't know, I'm just looking at things right here. I'm just trying to find some correlations and just trying to find some patterns. That's all right now. But yeah, it's just, it's tough. It's tough. It definitely is tough. So if you look at this series upcoming with the San Diego Padres, you're going to have Christopher Sanchez on the mound tomorrow. He is going up against Randy Vasquez. Randy Vasquez, he is 1-3 with a 4.93 ERA. Vasquez, in his last couple of starts, he went 5 innings against Oakland, allowed 1 earned run, 6 2/3 against Arizona, allowed 3 earned runs. So this guy's allowed, around 3 earned runs a start. Maybe he blows up, so like 3 earned runs a start. You should be able to hit him. San Diego, they're not that good of a team. Then on Tuesday, it is Aaron Nola going up against Michael King. He is 5-4 with a 3.58 ERA. He's been a solid pitcher for San Diego. And then on Wednesday, it'll be Ranger Suarez going up against Matt Waldron. Matt Waldron is the guy with the knuckleball. He's 4-6 with a 3.66 ERA. Against the Mets, he went 7 innings, only allowed 2 earned runs. Against Arizona, he went 6 innings, allowed 1 earned run. So yeah, knuckleball causes some people some issues, but I don't care. Then you have a day off on Thursday, so the Phillies got a day off in there. Then they play the Arizona Diamondbacks. Taijuan Walker on Friday, going up against who knows. Then on Saturday, Zack Wheeler goes up against Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery has not been that good for Arizona. He is 4-4 with a 6.58 ERA. And then Christopher Sanchez goes up against Slade Coney. I guess that's how you pronounce his name. He has a 1-5 record with a 6.70 ERA. He's been getting rocked. And then after the Arizona series, you go back on the road for 3 games. You play Detroit. Then you come back home for 4 games. You play the Miami Marlins. Then you go on the road for 6 straight games. You play Chicago Cubs and the Atlanta Braves. And then you're back home 6 games before the All-Star break. You play the Dodgers and the Oakland Athletics. So getting into the backstretch here of the first half. We're in the middle of June right now. And yeah, your team is slumping a little bit. Definitely is. In the last few games, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they're 2-5. Phillies are 2-5 in their last 7 games. They're definitely slumping a little bit. Definitely a good time to come back home. Definitely a good time to come back home. Try to see if there's anything else here on the Twitterverse. Anything here. What else? I don't know what that means. What else? Last 10 games, a lot of 2-run games. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 2-1 win against Milwaukee. 2-1 win against Milwaukee. 2-1 win against Milwaukee in extras. 2-0 win against Milwaukee. 7-2 win against the Mets. 6-5 loss against the Mets. 4-1 loss against Boston. 8-6 loss against Boston. 4-1 win against Boston. 8-6 loss against Boston. 9-3 loss against Boston. 5-3 win against Baltimore. 6-2 loss against Baltimore, and 6-3 loss, or 8-3 loss against Baltimore. How many 2-run games is that? 1, 2, 3. It's only 3 games. Only 3 of the last 10. Unless you want to count the 3-run games, then yeah, you get, there's 2 3-run games, 2 2-run games, and then the rest, yeah. I don't think Dave Dombrowski's going to rush into a trade, Sean. I don't think he's going to rush into a trade. Rob Thomson explains his frustration with the ejection. I want to listen to this, actually. I want to listen to this if I can restart this. Because it's coming from Instagram, apparently. Is it going to work?
What happened there in the 6th?
That's loud. I apologize for that.
Well, Mike had awarded Stubby first pitch. Brandon Hyde comes out. Then the umpires get together. The umpires said that they couldn't see the ball. The base umpires couldn't see the ball hit Stubby's foot. So I asked, you're telling me that from 200 feet or 130 feet or however far it is that you can tell whether the ball hits a foot or not? And so they told me, well, then you use your challenge. And I said, but you've already awarded them first base. Why don't you make them use their challenge? So that was it, really. So I didn't quite understand the whole thing, but it is what it is.
Okay. Yeah, it was that whole weird situation where Stubbs got awarded first base because they thought the pitch hit him, and then apparently he didn't. It was a weird situation. It definitely was. What else? What else? Nope, don't think there's anything else here. Definitely a good day to stay off the Twitterverse. Definitely. Nope, nothing else. If you like the standings right now, Phillies, they sit at 47-24. That is 23 games above 500. They're 8 games above the Atlanta Braves, who they won their series against Tampa Bay, but they lost today's game, so the Phillies are still 8 games above them. Lost some ground there from the 10-game lead they had earlier, but it is what it is. Nationals, they're 35-36. Mets, yeah, they've been playing a lot better recently, 33-37. And then Miami's Miami. Milwaukee Brewers, they're 42-29. And then the rest of the NL Central sucks. And then the Dodgers, they're 43-29. And then the rest of the NL West sucks. Padres are 37-38. Diamondbacks are 34-37. San Fran's 34-37. For the San Diego Padres, they're 5-5 in their last 10, and they just got swept by the Mets. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, they just lost their last game, and they're 5-5 in their last 10 as well. I think they're playing currently, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they're playing the Chicago White Sox. So yeah, that is what it is. Let's go to the Anytime Hotline here. Let's get the Sean's call. So let's see what he has to say here.
So today's performance pretty much summed up the entirety of the road trip. Total shit. I mean, from the umpiring, we won't even go there, to Wheeler's
we should go there.
performance, to the wretched performance of the offense. You know, I mean, they need to get the injured guys back as soon as possible, and they need to get back to Citizens Bank Park.
Yes.
But I got to say this, even with Trey Turner, Realmuto, and Marsh, I am still not seeing this lineup as being good enough to win a World Series with. And I think you saw a lot of the reasons today and lately. The difference to me between this year and last year and the year before is that the starting pitching and the pitching in general was good enough to overcome their shortcomings at the plate. But today you see it. I mean, Corbin Burns is a damn good pitcher, but he was giving him chances every inning. And you're seeing guys like Nick Castellanos and Edmundo Sosa just flail and bail at the plate on pitches that are 30 feet from the on-deck circle.
But here's the thing, Sean. That's who they are. We don't have to like it. That's who Nick Castellanos has been his entire career. That's what Edmundo Sosa is. Before any of all this, we weren't complaining about anything. Edmundo Sosa was still doing that when he was, on his great run. We weren't complaining about that whatsoever. But now that they're losing and now that his magic is gone a little bit, now it's a problem. Nick Castellanos, this has been who Nick Castellanos has been. If it's just those two players specifically, I'm just trying to point that out.
I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. Dombrowski has to address this lineup. This lineup, again, even when healthy, in my opinion, is not good enough to win a World Series.
I don't agree with that.
You have got to find some professional hitters in there. Guys that can hit with guys on base, guys that can work counts, and guys that can put the ball in play. That's what wins you games.
So, just talking about the lineup that they don't have, they have many professional hitters. There's two guys that stand out as not professional hitters. That's Nick Castellanos and Edmundo Sosa. Kyle Schwarber is a professional hitter. He works the count. Bryce Harper is a professional hitter. He works the count. Bryson Stott normally is. He's in a terrible rut right now, but Stott normally is a guy that works the count. Even Alec Boehm has been 20 billion times better at working the count this year. Brandon Marsh, he has his good moments of working the count. Sometimes he doesn't. JT, he can work the count. Trey Turner can work the count. They have guys that can work the count. Yes, when they look at some things, yes, sometimes they go into that situation where they try to do too much at the plate. But saying that this team is not good enough. What did the Baltimore Orioles do this entire series? They hit home runs. They hit home runs. It's not just hitting with runners in scoring position. They're hitting home runs. Yes, the Phillies, before this in giant offensive rut, they were one of the best teams at hitting with runners in scoring position. They were one of the best teams with hitting a runners in scoring position. Not that just this entire stretch, you're not allowed to change that perspective. Oh, now they're a bad team at hitting a runners in scoring position. No, they're not. They're not. They were doing it for an entire month and a half of hitting with runners in scoring position. An entire month and a half. Just because they're in a little rut now doesn't mean, oh, they're the same team from last year. I don't agree with that. I just don't agree with that. The style of baseball changed. It's power. It's power. It's more power. Yeah, you're going to have some guys in your lineup that are going to, hit for average and all that stuff. It's power. What did the Baltimore Orioles do this entire series? They hit home runs. Anthony Santander hit a bunch of home runs. They hit 4 home runs in today's game. If Zack Wheeler doesn't make those mistake pitches, they don't go over the wall. What happened with Baltimore on Friday? They struggled with hitting with runners in scoring position. So good teams go through ruts with hitting with runners in scoring position. It's a concept. I just don't agree with that logic, in my opinion. I love you, Sean. I just don't agree with that logic. Baltimore, for all the home runs they hit, they went 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position. On any other day, if they lost, that would seem terrible. That would seem terrible. But they hit home runs. If the Phillies' offense was clicking, they'd be hitting with runners in scoring position. That's what they were doing for that entire month and a half stretch. Right now, they're not doing it. But an entire month and a half stretch, they were one of the best teams in terms of hitting with runners in scoring position. Now you just suddenly can't change that opinion on them because it's literal fact. I'm sorry, it just isn't the case. In my opinion, it is. And Sean, you're allowed to have that opinion. I just don't agree with the opinion. Okay, Kev, you're going off the deep end, my guy. Baltimore showed us the reality of winning a World Series. What did they show us? What did they show us? I'm trying to figure that out. What did they show us? How am I way off base? How am I way off base? I'm using... Oh, God. Team splits. Runners in scoring position. Phillies. This year, the Phillies are the 4th best team with runners in scoring position. The 4th. The 4th best team with runners in scoring position. They have a batting average of .285, an on-base of .366, a slugging of .471, and an on-base and an OPS of .837. They've hit 23 home runs with runners in scoring position. They scored 257 RBI. 172 hits, 28 doubles. They're a good team with runners in scoring position. They're in a bad rut. The teams that are above them, the Cleveland Guardians, the New York Yankees, and the Kansas City Royals. The teams that are below them, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Baltimore Orioles that are 7th, the Cincinnati Reds, the Texas Rangers, the Colorado Rockies, Detroit, Mets, Seattle. The list goes down and down. The Los Angeles Dodgers, we view them as a great team. They're 16th in the league in terms of runners in scoring position. 16th. What are teams that are good on this list? The Atlanta Braves, they're 17th. The Atlanta Braves are 17th. Who else? Who else on this list? I'm just putting the facts out there. I just am. Phillies have a 126 OPS plus with runners in scoring position. It's 26 points above league average. They're a good team with runners on. They're going through a rut right now. Yeah, you can judge it about Nick Castellanos. Yes, Nick Castellanos, yes, he has his really bad moments. But that's not a factor on the entire team. We should have never lost that rut. Kev, good teams lose to bad teams all the time. The Colorado Rockies swept the Texas Rangers, and the Texas Rangers are the defending World Series champions. The Los Angeles Dodgers, they lost a series straight to the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Texas Rangers, who were below 5. I know I just used the Texas Rangers getting, but it's still a thing. It's still the view right here. The Atlanta Braves, they're viewed as a good team. They went 18-22, like in a stretch, like through May, or like June or something like that. That was their stretch. The Dodgers, they lose the good teams. They lose the bad teams all the time. I'm sure the Baltimore Orioles have had a series where they lost to a bad team. I'm sure the New York Yankees have had a series where they lost to a bad team that they should have beaten. I'm sure the Cleveland Guardians had a series or two where they lost to a bad team. It happens. It happens. We should have never lost that Rocky series. It happens. I'm just trying to explain that here. We're saying that we got to win every single series against bad teams. What was the narrative of the Phillies for basically the entire start of this year? Oh, they're only playing bad teams. Oh, they're only beating bad teams. Oh, but now that we didn't lose to we lost to a bad team. Oh, it changes the whole fact. Never lost that Rocky. Sometimes you just lose that series. Sometimes you just do. I'm just trying to put it out there. Just trying to put that out there. They beat our brains in. If you think the Baltimore Orioles are this much of a step, they caught the Phillies at a good time. They caught the Phillies when they were struggling. If the Phillies were playing to the capabilities that they were when they were doing all this winning, this series would have been 20 billion times closer. It would have been 20 billion times closer. What they did on Friday, the Phillies, that's what the reality would have been. Not these two games. Not these two games. only played 13. Kev, I'm not doing this argument with you. I'm not doing this argument with you. I'm not doing this argument. I'm not doing this argument. I'm just not. Because you're just going on the total end of over the deep end. You just are. Exactly, Sean. It's not the Phillies' fault that they've only played 13 games against teams above 500. It's not their fault. They're playing the schedule that's in front of them. In the Phillies' record against 500 teams, yeah, they're 10-8. They're 10-8 against 500 teams. Okay, they played 18 games against teams above 500. They're 10-8. Exactly. They don't get to handpick their schedule. So when they go into a rut, they just happen to be facing some teams that are above 500. And some of those losses against the Boston Red Sox, they were 500 when they played the Phillies. Then they became above 500 when they beat the Phillies. It's just, you know, that happened to be, they were exactly a 500 team. I'm just trying to, I get you're frustrated, Kev, but you're just, now you're going to the fact that everybody else uses that the Phillies don't play good teams. And the one time that they play one of the top teams in baseball, they just happen to lose that series because the Phillies have been in a little bit of a struggle right now. And the fact that, you know, they're struggling proves that this is what the Phillies are. I'm just trying to find your logic here. I'm trying to find your logic. Like I said, if the Phillies were clicking at the cylinders like they were for a while, for basically the entire season until, you know, up for a couple of weeks ago, if the Phillies were clicking on all their cylinders, they probably win this series against Baltimore. They probably do. They probably don't lose today's game. They probably don't lose yesterday's game. I'm not saying they sweep Baltimore. Honestly, they could have won yesterday's game. Or they just happen to lose it. Because good teams lose the good teams. That's what happens throughout the entirety of baseball. Good teams lose the bad teams. That's what 162 games is. You're not going to win every single time against the bad team. You're not going to beat all the good opponents. I hate that argument. I hate that argument. I just do. And I hate to signal you out here, Kev, but it's just like that is just, it's an illogical argument. It's just not. Because the Phillies right now, and say if the things were reversed, if the roles were reversed, and the Orioles were struggling, and the Phillies smacked Baltimore, what would everyone be saying about Baltimore? Oh, Baltimore's probably not as good as we think. The entire roles would be reversed. And yes, they'll be playing the Dodgers, Yankees, and Braves soon. I'm more confident we could beat the Braves. I'm confident we could beat the Dodgers. Yeah, the Yankees will be a tough competition. I'm still confident in this Phillies team to win games against those teams. It's just that they go in a rut, and now suddenly we're not confident in this team. They go in a little bit of a rut. We're not confident in this team. I don't get that. I don't get that. At all. It's fine to be frustrated. It's fine all this. But suddenly just lose confidence in your team that's 23 games above 500. Do people have the Eagles collapse in mind? Is everyone just thinking Eagles collapse here? Because if you are, stop watching the games then. Stop watching the games. And if everyone has last year's NLCS collapse, yes, the NLCS collapse is in my mind from last year. I don't think that's going to happen again. They failed last year. I get that. This team, I believe, is different from then. Yes, now they're showing signs of that, but I believe in this team's ability to get out of that and find a way through. And yes, Dave Dombrowski will make changes when they are needed. He's going to. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen. Is he going to do it before the All-Star break? Is he going to do it after the All-Star break? I have no idea. Who knows? He could be making calls right now for all we know. Could be making calls right now for all we know. I'm sure this team's frustrated. I'm sure the players are frustrated. Are they panicking? No. This shit happens. And that's what I'm trying to stress. This happens. I'm frustrated, yes, that they're losing series. I am 100% frustrated that they're losing series. Yes, I understand that perspective of bats being given away. I understand that. I completely understand that. That's what happens when you're in a rut. Sometimes you try to do a little too much at the plate. And yes, Nick Castellanos, that's who he is. Sosa, we weren't complaining about it when he was going on his magic run. And now that he's struggling a little bit, yeah, now it's an issue. But I don't see Kyle Schwarber doing that on a consistent basis. Bryce Harper doesn't do it on a consistent basis. Bohm, I feel like, has been, perfectly better with, having better at bats. Stott normally does. I don't know what's wrong with Stott right now. I don't know what's wrong with Stott. When the offense is going, they'll have better at bats. Right now, the offense is just in such a funk that they're trying. Like I said, it's the butterfly effect. When the pitching was going really good, they were keeping the offense involved, and the offense was going to this point where, okay, we're struggling right now, but when we get to when our pitching is keeping us involved, our boys are keeping us involved, we'll get our inning. And now that right now the pitching is going through a little bit of a rut right now. Now the offense is like, okay, now they're not keeping us involved in the game. We got to do a little too much here. Now you're overthinking at the plate. Now you're trying to think 5 steps ahead of what's going to happen instead of just thinking about what's happening at the plate this very second. That's what they're doing right now. And when they were winning, at-bats weren't an issue. They were fine. They were great. They were fantastic. And now that they're in a rut, all of a sudden, this offense sucks again. That's where I'm just trying to, can't go to that drastic extreme. Because I don't see Dodgers fans do that. The Yankees might eventually go on a rut. Yankees fans are Yankees fans. That's a whole different story. But are the Yankees going to panic? Probably not. Are the Guardians going to panic? Probably not. How long? I don't have faith in Walker to begin with, so there's no faith in Walker. Well, if you're thinking about getting Luis Robert or, Randy Arozarena, I'm sure you'll still, Luis Robert does have a strikeout issue. So you're getting technically the same thing. He's just a really good, talented hitter at the same time. So you're still getting strikeout issues there with Luis Robert. That's just what baseball players are today. A lot of baseball players are just a true the three outcomes: home run, strikeout, walk, or a hit, I guess you could say. Yeah, I still think they should have kept Turnbull in the rotation. 100%. 100%. I agree with that. I agree on that. I just think that a little too far stretch into the pessimism right now. That's all I think. Hey, Corey. How you doing? Hey, Corey. How you doing? Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm sure Hunter will have logic, reason, and some type of fact, something. I hope Hunter does. I'm sure he will. But then reason, logic sometimes doesn't dwell with Hunter. It just doesn't. Sometimes it goes overboard. Starting to worry we can't be... Okay. No, Corey, stop. Just going to stop you right there. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not even saying that Robert wouldn't be an upgrade because he would 100% be an upgrade. I'm 100% there. 100% there. Oh, God. I just explained this, Corey. Baltimore, the Phillies are in, like I said, major ebbs and flows of a season. We talked about that so many times. Phillies are in a rut right now. And Baltimore, they caught the Phillies at a good time because the Phillies are in a little bit of a struggle. And I think that's what you saw reflected in this series. If the Phillies were clicking on the cylinders that they were when they were winning so many games to start the season, and they were winning all these series, they were sweeping all these series and everything like that, series would have been completely different. Series would have been completely different. Phillies probably would have won this series. You know? And also, say if Baltimore struggled coming into this series, roles will be reversed if the Phillies won. Roles will be reversed. So we just gotta look at see what happens here. And let's see what are the Los Angeles Dodgers like. What are some of these teams' records against teams above 500? Yeah, Dodgers they're 11-4 against above 500 teams. The Milwaukee Brewers they're 15-12. The Braves they're 9-10. The Yankees they're 18-11. So yeah, they're definitely the Baltimore Orioles they play really good against above 500 teams. They're 22-12. The Guardians they're 15-8 against above 500 teams. The Royals who have been a good team this year they're 12-18. So that probably could, explain some things. The Mariners, they're 13-17. So, yeah. It happens. It happens, guys. Don't look too deep into some things. And right now, the Dodgers are beating the Royals. So they're playing a series with each other. Now, if Painter does come back, he's not pitching Major League Baseball. He's probably just going to do some type of rehab stint in minor league baseball. You're not going to see Painter until next year. You're not going to see Painter until next year, even if that's the case. Because most likely, if he even does come back after, some point with the minors this year, he's going to start in minor league baseball next year. They're not going to force him into Major League Baseball. They're going to do whatever he does in spring training. He's going to play a little bit in AAA, and then when he proves that he's ready to be called up, he'll be called up. That's what's going to happen. So, not in a rush right there. Not in a rush. Robert Chase, well, you got to agree that Robert would be a total upgrade over Johan Rojas. Oh yeah, I'll be fine in the morning. I'll be fine in the morning because you know why? First pitch at 6:40 at Citizens Bank Park. That's why I'll be fine. What's Luis Robert's numbers this year? Luis Robert. What are his numbers this year? Okay, his numbers so far, but he has been injured a lot. He was injured. He was injured for an extended period of time this year, so take it with a grain of salt right now. What are his career numbers? I want to see his career numbers. So let's see. So his rookie season with the Chicago White Sox, that was the shortened year with COVID. Batted .233, .302 on base, .436 slugging. In 2021, he batted .338, .378 on base, and a .576 slugging. 2022, he batted .284 with a .319 on base and a .426 slugging. Last season, .264, .315 on base, and a .542 slugging. This year, in very minimal time, he's only played in 19-20 games. He's batting .188 with a .263 on base and a .522 slugging. Yeah, he was out for an extended period of time. He's got 7 home runs on the year, 10 RBIs. Yeah. I'm sure those numbers, if he comes to the Phillies, those numbers will improve, in my opinion. Especially if he comes to Kevin Long. I think those numbers will improve. He's only 26 years old. He's going to have a lot of control in his contract. If you do get him, I believe you still have like 3 years of control left on his contract. If I'm not mistaken. Let me go to Spot Track to see everything here. Yep, he's got 1 more year of arbitration left after this season. And then he's got 2 club options, and then he's a UFA after 2028. So you got 3 years of control left with him. 3 years of control, technically. Well, 1 year of control and 2 club options. I still count that as 3 years of control. So, perfectly fine here. There you go, right here. Scott Lauber just posted something about records after the London series. So, let's look at this right here. Let's look at this right here. The 2019 Yankees after the London series, they went 3-3 against the Mets and then Tampa Bay after that. 2019, the Red Sox, they went 5-1. 2023, the Cardinals went 3-3. 2023, the Cubs went 1-5. That was, the Phillies swept them after they came back from London. 2024, Phillies are 2-4. And then 2024, the Mets were 5-1. So, take it for what it's worth. Does London have that big of an impact? Maybe, because 4 out of the 5 teams here, 4 out of the 6 teams here, kind of showed struggles. Could that be a fact? Probably. Could that be a fact? Probably. And then someone commented saying, what this shows me is that the Mets and the Red Sox are the best teams in baseball. Oh, God. But, yeah, they'll figure it out. Don't worry. Let's see, it's 5:30 right now. Gonna have to do some editing after this. I just did a bunch of editing for Hunter before this thing. I edited his Eagles video, so I'm probably gonna have to edit his Phillies pod after that. So I think this is where I'll end it, everybody. We're all frustrated. I expressed frustration. You expressed frustration. And that's how it works. Would I be disappointed if we didn't bring someone in? Yes. I would be 100% disappointed. Because I don't like the opinions that some people have that don't go on at the deadline. Go get someone like Matt Vierling. I hate that idea. I think this is your best chance to win a World Series this year with how bad the MLB is. Got to go all in. And especially if you go after a guy like Luis Robert, he's young and you have control with him, so that makes your lineup better for the next few years too. I hate the idea of going little at the deadline. Go after your outfielder. Go get another guy for the bullpen. Maybe add another bench piece. That's what I would do. So, that'll do it for today, everybody. I love you one and all. I appreciate you all joining the streams whenever you do. So don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Does me a great deal of service. Also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Great deal. Don't pass it up. Thanks, guys, for tuning into tonight. Sean, sadly, there was no Julian in the chat tonight. I think there was. Oh, he was. Julian was here, but then I think he only made a couple of comments. Julian was here. Okay, so I do see Julian here. So he did. But I think Julian let other guys talk for this time. But I do appreciate you guys joining in. We're all frustrated.